Welcome on into another episode of Getting Well with Terry and Friends. I'm Terry. Will beside me, occupancy bottom left, Ryan bottom right, and we are ready to break down a big day of Saturday sports. We'll be going over a bunch of the games here, and then we'll have the rest kind of in our goalie poll segment at the end. Normally, we start the show by looking at these standings, but I haven't updated the standings yet, I'll be honest. I was busy getting picks and bets in this morning, so the standings will be shown on Monday's show, which will include yesterday, today, and tomorrow's picks. And then Mondays, I'm going to start putting out on Twitter screenshots of all the standings and tagging everyone who's doing well and stuff. So recognition for everybody and kind of shouting out the show. We're going to do that once a week, and we'll be starting that Monday. But we have a game that starts here in about a little bit under an hour here, and that is the Florida Panthers and the Buffalo Sabres here in this one. I'm kind of surprised at how much I actually like this game, but I will bring up the odds and we will go through it here. You can find Florida minus 182 to minus 200. Buffalo is plus 155 to plus 170. Sevens pretty much across the board, a couple 6.5s here. And I guess I'll start off with last year. I can totally understand this being a 7, but this year, not so much. I think Florida is hugely focusing on defense with Paul Maurice. Florida took a step backwards also this year when it comes to their goal scoring. I do not think they will be the number one scoring team in the league. I don't even think they'll be top 5 this year. I do think this team is taking a step back. Not a huge step back. They're still going to be a playoff team. They're just going to focus a little bit more on the defensive side of the puck. And 7, I got minus 112. Minus 111 this morning for the under 7 in this game. I'm shocked. It was minus 130 last night when I went to sleep. And I was hoping maybe I'd get minus 125. Maybe if I was really lucky, minus 120. Did not expect minus 111. Jumped on that right away. And then I also have Buffalo money line, plus 165. The Sabres start the season off well, usually. And this is a team that I think is improving every year. And I think they're kind of plus 165. You can get plus 170 as well right now. I think that's just too high for this matchup at this time of the year. So give me Buffalo money line and the under 7 in this one. Will, Panthers, Sabres, what do you think here?
Yeah, I have this one projected right at 7 goals. My line would be 198, so minus 198 for Florida and 198 for the Sabres. So I really don't have an edge here. These are 2 teams I want more statistics on from this year before I really bet a lot into them, specifically Florida's offense, and then Buffalo's goaltending is what I'm looking at for the next few games.
All right. Occupancy, Panthers, Sabres, what do you think here?
Yeah, I agree with Will. I mean, I think I'd like to see a little more Panthers data before I get too sure about how this team's going to be. But I think the 7 is left over from last year. I'm on the under. It's one of my biggest bets of the day. If that doesn't hit, I'm going to be scrambling probably all weekend. But I have some other player props to go with it just in case it doesn't go well. I'm also on the Sabres money line. I just took a look at what the Panthers did in the first matchup with the Islanders, and their defense was firing shots. Pollock had 3, Dobson had 6. So then I went to the window and bet Jokiharju and Dahlin to hit their shot props. I got a third of a unit on those each. I also put Victor Olofsson in the bunch. He had multiple shots, I think 5 or 6 in the first game. I have Tage Thompson anytime goal. I have Sabres lines and parlays. I mean, I'm really going for the Sabres in this first game here. I think I had one last reason for that bet. I use Flash Score They show you the over-unders from last season, and when I'm capping early, I try to see like which teams have changed and which teams haven't really, and like Buffalo hasn't changed a whole lot, so I think their data from last year is still pretty good. To the over 7.5, they only went 23 times and under 59 times. So when you put that on a 7, like that's going to be 59 losses or pushes, or sorry, 59 wins or pushes to the 7.5 for Buffalo, and then Florida obviously. They still actually didn't even hit over 7.5 too frequently. So I think the 7 is generous for unders betters, hoping that hits. But definitely stoked. This is going to be some good early hockey.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really actually excited to watch this game, which is crazy. Well, it's not that crazy. The Sabres are improving. So, Will, your years of terror and heartbreak might finally be coming to an end soon. Ryan, Panthers, Sabres, what do you think here?
Well, I'm not involved in the side or the total on this one, but I agree with a lot of the sentiment. The price on the Sabres looks really generous. They opened their season with 3 wins at home last year, so why not again? I agree with what people are saying about the Panthers. One, I don't think they're in terribly good form right now, and also it doesn't seem like they're going to be playing the same style of hockey as they were last year. So I agree, but I'm not involved.
All right. Moving on along to the next one. Some people, like Will, got a really good CLV with this game, but we'll look at this one here. You can find Vancouver minus 149 to minus 176. You can find Philly plus 128 to plus 142. Sixes, I do see 5.5 available in this game. I got Vancouver money line at minus 120. I believe last night. So now the best you can get for it is minus 149. At this point, I'd most likely stay off. I wouldn't feel comfortable taking Vancouver minus 1.5 at this point in the season. Yes, it's like plus 180, plus 170, plus 150 in some spots. So there's a big variation from book to book there. But I think Vancouver wins this game. You could take a look at them in regulation at this point. That would kind of be the best way to go. But find your lines early. Tune into Dave's show. We talked about this game last night. So you could have definitely beat some line movement. But at this point in time when we're doing the show, it would probably be a pass for me. But I am on the Canucks minus 120. Will, Canucks Flyers, what do you think here?
Yeah, yesterday morning I sent out minus 104 when I woke up because I had about a 10% edge on the Canucks. The wrong team, in my opinion, was favored. And I had this between minus 140 and minus 170, and that's where the lines kind of ended up. I wouldn't play the Flyers here. I just don't like them this year, and I'm not going to be playing the Flyers much. I don't think we're going to get generous prices for them. If anything, I would look at maybe the Canucks in regulation at this point. I think it was plus 120 yesterday. I don't know what we're looking at now, though. I also leaned towards the under when it was at 6.5, but now we're seeing 6s, and I would probably stay away.
All right. Lots of line movement in the beginning of the season, so definitely might want to get lines early in some spots for sure. Occupancy, Canucks Flyers, what do you think here?
Not a whole lot for me here. I'll be pretty brief. I'm on the Canucks for the side. If anything, I'd be leaning under, but I didn't bet it. And then just taking a look at the props, nothing really standing out to me too much. Juice Pedersen shot on goal props, not really how I want to spend my Saturday. Some of these others, Brock Besser, you can get him around minus 115 for over 2.5. That, if I had to play a player prop in this one, that's probably where I'd go. JT Miller, anytime goal, was always hitting last year. What do they have for him today? Plus 180. That's actually pretty good. He's their guy. So a close game. I think he can get that done. But all in all, not a whole lot for me in this game.
All right. Ryan, Canucks Flyers. What do you think here?
Again, another game I'm not involved in. I don't like these types of spots. We think that the Flyers are bad, but I don't want to bet on them with the expectation that they were going to be bad. But they won in their last game. So, and also it's a tough travel spot for Vancouver. So I'm staying off. But I think there's value on the Flyers here.
Yeah, Tortorella. He even though the Flyers are a bad team, or they should be a bad team, Tortorella might be able to get more out of them than they normally would. He's just that kind of coach. He'll just work them to the bone and make them play their best, or they'll get yelled at. So he could probably bring out the best in the Flyers. Definitely. Moving on along to this one, Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh. You can find Tampa Bay plus 130 to plus 149. Pittsburgh is minus 152 to minus 182. 6.5 and 6s in this one. I was leaning towards the draw in this game last night. I did not pull the trigger, but I can't really take Pittsburgh now. They're huge favorites. The line has definitely moved, most likely because Brian Elliott will be in net, and obviously Tampa played last night. So this game is kind of tough for me. How I'm going to get to it is I'm going to have Sidney Crosby in my player point parlay, which I have not done yet. So follow me at Let's Go Wild Picks, and I'll also post it on Twitter what I get to. But Crosby to get a point will definitely be involved in this one, and maybe Penguins money line in a parlay as well. We'll have to see. Will, Lightning, Penguins, what do you think here?
Yeah, I was right where the market was at open. Penguins have been steamed pretty heavy because of the back-to-back, because we have Elliott in net. I mean, we didn't know Vazzy was going yesterday until it was announced. So I would lean towards the Lightning at this price, but I do not like to take road dogs on back-to-backs third game of the season. So I'm probably not going to lay it.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Occupancy, Lightning, Penguins. What do you think here?
I think the narrative of taking Buffalo in October is the complete opposite for fading the Lightning in October. I'm on the Penguins and Reg at home. I got it at plus 115. Brian Elliott's a good goalie, and I don't love fading him because I check out Terry's preview shows and everything too. We talked about the team had a winning record when he was in net last year. But Pittsburgh, Steel City at home on a Saturday, beginning of the season. I think they're going to get it done. I think they're going to be itching for some good competition after beating the Coyotes 6-2. I'm trying to get involved in the prop market, but it's heavily juiced pretty much all across the board. Gensel, Rust, usually guys I go to for shot props, and I can't even get Rust over 3.5 anymore, or over 2.5 anymore at a fair price. So I'm going to be off the player prop market in this game, unfortunately. So yeah, one of my bigger bets today is Pittsburgh and Reg.
All right, Ryan, Lightning, Penguins. What do you think here?
So a really short background. I have very limited betting options in my state, and I don't even have regulation lines yet for tonight's games. And so I haven't bet them yet. And I also have limited prop options in my state. So I think this is a bet on spot on the Penguins, and I'm going to be looking for a regulation line when it comes available to me. I think things may not be as they seem this early in the season, and I don't think we should understate the Penguins' good performance against the Coyotes. So I think they may be in good form here, and they're healthy, and I think this is a bet on spot. So I'm going to be on the Penguins regulation, assuming it's a inequitable line.
And you could probably take the Penguins puck line. We were talking about this last night on Dave's show, and I think I get a little nervous with it, and I go for the safer option for the Reg. But if you do think Reg, and you could even drop like the units a tiny bit, and if you want to get involved with the -1.5, that's a way to play this game, I think.
All right.
I'm not a huge puck line better. but there are a lot of people who are.
I like puck lines more than I like run lines for baseball, just because you have that empty net factor in hockey, which is huge for sure. We'll move on along to the next one. We have the Anaheim Ducks and the New York Islanders here. You can find Anaheim plus 140 to plus 147. The Islanders minus 167 to minus 182. 5.5s right across the board in this one. I'm taking the Anaheim Ducks. I got them at plus 155. And now you can get them anywhere from, like I said, plus 140 to plus 147. So a little bit of movement in my favor. I just think that this is too big of a price for the Islanders. I get it, they're at home. But I see Anaheim as a younger, quicker team. And I think they are a very good bet at this price. So I have Anaheim money line plus 155. Will, Ducks Islanders, what do you think here?
Yeah, I have about a 2% edge on the Islanders, but I don't really play minus 160 lines for money lines, so I'm not going to be on this game at all. I lean a little bit towards the over, which actually surprised me when I saw my model, because you just think Ducks Islanders, you kind of think under instantly. I added that to a stepped up parlay on DraftKings. I did over 4.5 because I got a little scared of the 5.5, but I don't have anything for this game.
All right. Yeah, I think they actually trend quite a bit to the over, actually, when they face each other. I'll get the stats for that after. Occupancy, Ducks Islanders, what do you think here?
Yeah, it's funny, Terry. I mean, pretty much across almost all slates, I see eye to eye with you, most of like 95% of it. But we never agree here. I never understand fading the Islanders against like this young team that I think is inexperienced and smaller. When the Islanders put out the fourth line, I always say this, Matt Martin, Keith Zizekas, Pollock Pellick. I mean, they're gonna be throwing checks left and right here at home on a Saturday on the island. I saw it, and when the TTO 3.5 was released, I bet it was a plus price. I do think the Islanders win the game, but like as Will said, I think the price is a little steep. But with regards to the previous matchups, the Islanders have won 2 out of the last 2 last year, 4-0 and 4-3. So that 3.5 clip seemed supported by the data. And I'm also an Islanders fan, so I'm a little biased with it. I understand. But I just think it's just one of those matchups. I don't know. I don't bet the Islanders every game. I really don't. But with when you look at roster to roster, and Gibson, I still think he can have a bounce back year. But he has struggled in recent past and letting up quite a few amount of goals. So could be leaning towards the Islanders on that team total. I already bet it.
All right. Yeah, 4 of the last 6 meetings in New York between these teams have gone over 6.5. Wow. 4 of the last 6 meetings have gone over 6.5 in this one. So 5.5 could actually be a very good number. Ryan, Ducks Islanders, what do you think here?
So I got involved in the Ducks Kraken game earlier in the week, and that was a wild game. The Kraken went out ahead, and then the Ducks roared back. There was 9 goals scored in the game. And then I fell into the trap of playing the Kraken Kings over with Martin Jones in the net. It just seemed like a really easy over, and that ended up being a cagier game. So my thought is that the Ducks are really kind of the catalyst in that over with the 9 goals. And so I'm on the over in this one, and I think it's generous at 5.5. So I don't have a thought on the side. I haven't seen the Islanders play this year, so I don't have much of an opinion on them, but I'm on the over on this one.
All right.
Oh, and Zegras and Terry, they're dialed in. They're good props.
Yeah, the only reason why I won it is because as much as I'm not a huge fan of this Islanders team, they're not a team I like to take props against because they do have a very good defense and goaltending. So that's actually one of the teams I kind of avoid with props myself is the Islanders. We'll look at this one here, Predators and Stars. You can actually find Nashville plus 102 to plus 112, Dallas minus 122 to minus 128, 6s and 5.5s available in this one here. Obviously, these two teams just faced each other in Nashville 2 days ago, and the Stars won convincingly. I was on the draw in that game. It did not cash, but I'm going right back to it here, plus 320 on the draw. I think Nashville puts in a much better performance in this one, and I think we get something like 2-2 going to overtime, and then who knows who will win it then. But hoping to cash my first draw bet of the season, plus 320 on this game to go to overtime. Will, Predator Stars, what do you think here?
Yeah, with the line at 112, I have about a 3.5% edge towards Nashville now. I took the Stars as dogs the other night, and I know home ice has switched, but I really do believe this game should be right around a pick 'em. I'm probably not going to send out a play for it, but I would be on the side of the Predators at plus money. I just think this matchup is 50-50. It's not there's no room for 47%, 53% just because people are putting money on it. I think this matchup is really pick 'em.
All right. Yeah, I totally agree. Occupancy, Predator Stars. What do you think here?
I agree with Will. If I was going to take a side, it'd be plus money for the Preds. But I kind of see betting this game like trying to bet a Yankees-Blue Jays game in May or April. These teams play each other a lot, and they trade wins back and forth. If anything, I'd be looking under. 4 out of the 5 last matchups have gone 6 or under. But there's a lot of games on this slate with, I think, some more advantages. But one thing I did say is I will bet Mikael Granlund over a point, I think, every game this year. I'm looking at the prices, and he was like in the minus 130 range in the first few games, and today it's a minus 115. He plays with some of the best offensive talents in the West, and then he had a pretty good career year last year, and I like him. So that's my only bet for this game.
All right. Yeah, I already cashed on his assist props. But minus 115 to get a point. It's probably because Dallas and Ottinger is so good and a lower scoring game. That's probably why you get such a good price on that. But I like it. Ryan, Predator Stars, what do you think here?
Yeah, I haven't gotten to a wager on this one. I lean Stars on this one. I believe in the new manager bounce theory, and we've seen a lot of good performances with new managers like Detroit, Las Vegas, and so I don't see why just not riding the hot team that had a good performance. They won tape to tape in their last game. Although I am fading Las Vegas today, so I'm not totally sold on the new manager thing, but I think this is a good spot for the Stars.
All right. And we'll move on along to my favorite game of the day, the LA Kings and the Minnesota Wild here. You can find LA plus 138 to plus 150, Minnesota minus 162 to minus 182, 6s, 5.5 available in this one. The first game of the season for the Wild against the Rangers was the first period was looking great. The Wild were completely dominating the Rangers in 5-on-5, and I thought, okay, we're in for a good game. Then there's a penalty, and Kreider scores instantly, and then everything kind of just went downhill from there. 5-on-5, the Wild were the better team. They were able to score 3 goals on Shesterkin, but Fleury gave up 7, and the Wild's defense just didn't show up. We have seen that with some other teams that have got off to a bit of a rough start, especially in their first game. LA has lost their first 2 games. And now they come to a building which they just don't enjoy coming to. The Wild are 11-1-1 in their last 13 games at home against LA. LA does not do well in this building. Kaprizov has 11 points in 11 games against the Kings, 7 goals in those 11 games. I do have Kirill Kaprizov to get a point, parlayed with Matt Zuccarello to get a point, and the Wild to win for plus 160. I have Matthew Boldy over half a point at plus 100. The 2 goals he scored were just beautiful against Shesterkin in the last game. I have the Wild team total over 3.5 plus 120. That is placed at FanDuel, so it needs to be in regulation. Some team totals you have to watch from book to book. Some team totals will be the whole game, and some will just be 60 minutes. So definitely make sure to check that out. And I also have the Wild minus 1.5 at plus 155. The reason I didn't take the Wild team total in regulation is because I would think the Wild handily beat the Kings in this one. And the price is much better when you do take the team total in regulation. That's why I took it at plus 120. So I think the Kings struggle and start off 0-3 in this one. And I think the Wild take care of business. If I did have to look at someone on the Kings, it's got to be Kevin Fiala. As much as I'm torn on him leaving the Wild, obviously there's points missing, but he's a very streaky player that does give a lot of turnovers. I think he'll be motivated in this one. So if anyone's going to score for LA, I do think it most likely would be Fiala, but I won't be betting it. Will, Kings Wild, what do you think on this one?
So you're going to kind of notice from me this year, East Coast overs, West Coast unders. This line to me is pretty much perfect on the money line. For the over-under, though, I think we're a little bit low. LA went over the other night with Vegas, and I don't think it was Vegas that drove that. I think it was LA, and I think LA is going to come in here tonight, and they're going to play a run-and-gun game with Minnesota, and Minnesota can do that. We saw it last year, 4-4, 5-5, 3-3. All year long, Minnesota was in high-scoring games, and I think that's what we're going to get tonight. I don't really want to pick a side. I can see the Wild blowing them out. I can also see the Kings, they're kind of mad from losing a couple games. So.
All right. Occupancy, Kings and Wild. What do you think here?
Yeah, I'll leave you guys for the in-depth on the Wild fans. But no, I mean, when I cap this game, I see a Kings team who's trying to find their identity. And I see a Wild team that's already found theirs. So I took the Wild in reg. It's currently in a round robin, though, so I haven't bet it singly. The Kaprizov anytime goal, he's going to have to get his first soon. So if you looked at his game log from last year, he did start off pretty slow, and then he heated up. But there was actually a couple contract issues last summer or the summer before last season, and he was kind of like, not maybe set up. Now he's signed, he's in, he's dialed in. That's the way I'd be looking to play this game.
All right, Ryan, Kings Wild. What do you think here?
I have nothing on this game, but I agree with what other folks are saying. I think this is probably a bet on spot in the Wild. Kings didn't look very good in their last couple games. They may be a team you want to look at fade, in their current form. So I agree that this is a good betting spot for the Wild.
All right, and we'll move on along to what I think will be the game of the night here. And that's the Battle of Alberta. We have the Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers in this one. You can find Calgary minus 102 to plus 105. Edmonton is minus 110 to minus 122. 6.5s, 1-7 in this one. Edmonton has taken care of business against this Flames team in Edmonton. They've won 8 of the last 9 meetings between these two teams. These two teams do tend to go over at times when they face each other, as sometimes really high scoring games, other times not so much. So I don't really have too much of an opinion on the total. I could see it going either way. But I like the Oilers here at home. I think the Flames, off their win against the Avalanche, I'm not going to say they're going to feel happy about themselves and overlook Edmonton, because they're not going to overlook Edmonton. They're their biggest rival. And I think they will be ready for this game. But I think the Oilers will have enough in the tank to get the job done. So I got them at minus 113. And the best you can get right now is minus 110. So I would take them at minus 110. I think the Oilers get the job done in the Battle of Alberta tonight. Will, Flames, Oilers, what do you think here?
My model's pretty much right where the market is on this one as well. 6.83 goals. The line's 115 each side. I was a little surprised the Flames got bet down last night, but they're a good team with new players that can play hockey really well. So I'm not surprised sharp money came in. I guess my only thing to say about this game would be, if you're not a hockey fan, and I don't know why you'd be watching 32 minutes into the show if you're not, but watch this game. These two teams are just fun to watch. We saw it last year in the playoffs. Even a close 2-2 game could be fun to watch, but we could also get, 6-4, 7-4, 7-5. They're fun teams to watch, so check it out.
Yeah, for sure. And this is another this could be another draw spot. I haven't pulled the trigger. But this could be, like you said, a really good game, and we could see overtime here in this one. Occupancy, Flames, Oilers, Battle of Alberta. What do you think here?
Yeah, I think with a money line side, I'd be on the Oilers. As Will said, I mean, this got bet down. Minus 130 was the price that I got in the round robin I'm currently running. But when I look at like this team and try to dissect it down, I mean, Edmonton hasn't changed a lot, but then they added a brick wall and net potentially with Jack Campbell, whereas Calgary got rid of a couple key pieces and brought in some new key pieces. But have they learned the system yet to like become like a winning hockey team in the regular season? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know that yet really in October. No one knows that right now. For sure, like towards the later part of the season, maybe looking to switch sides. But for me, oil country, let's ride.
All right. Ryan, Flames, Oilers, potentially the game of the night. What do you think here?
Yeah, I'm on the Flames. So I backed the Flames against Colorado the other night, and I just felt like I was on the right side. From the start of the game to the end of the game, the ice was tilted to Calgary's side. Against the Stanley Cup champions, and there were some missed passes. There was some lack of sharpness, but this is a team that I want to be on, and this is a team that passes the eye test. And I get Edmonton had a good game as well. Connor McDavid had a hat trick, I believe. So there's cases for both sides, but and I'm on futures for both teams for the Stanley Cup. So I like both these teams, but I just want to back this Calgary team the way they're playing right now, and I think they win this game. It's my best bet.
All right. Yeah, hey, disagreement is good, and especially in a game like this where they're both so good teams, like there is going to definitely be disagreement. We'll move on along to potentially one of my favorite games tonight as well, possibly one that I'll be watching later on tonight. We have Vegas minus 130. Minus 1 to minus 167 in one spot. Seattle is plus 110. Plus 105 to plus 125. 6.5s right across the board in this one here. Seattle did not have any success against Vegas last year. Vegas beat them in all 4 meetings last year. But Seattle is a team that has changed drastically, in my opinion, from last year, adding in a whole bunch of offensive players, especially Matty Beniers. I was going to have him as my best bet 2 nights in a row the other night. I switched to the Wild. That wasn't the right choice there, but I'm going right back to it, Beniers to get a point. It was minus 125 today. So obviously the books are starting to catch on here in this one. Minus 125 Beniers to get a point, and Seattle money line plus 115. I think they finally beat Vegas in the first game of this year. I think these two teams are a lot closer, evenly matched than some people might think. I'm very high on this Kraken team. I really like what they did in the offseason. So I like them here in this spot as home underdogs. I think Climate Pledge Arena is rocking tonight in this one. Will, Golden Knights, Kraken, the two newest teams in the NHL. What do you think happens here?
Yeah, first of all, I think minus 125 for the best offensive player on an NHL team to score a point is a great bet. Like, do it every night. Now, I misspoke earlier. I think I said the Golden Knights drove the over in the Kings game that opening night. It was actually the Kings that I meant to say that drove the over, and that's why I like the over from Minnesota Kings. And I do like the under for this game. I think both teams play slow, boring hockey, and sometimes even they don't. Vegas didn't look like they cared 2 nights ago against Chicago. They came out, they kind of lollygagged around the ice, and they won 1-0 because they just have more talent. I think you're going to get a lot of that this year from Vegas, and I don't see why this game would be any different. I have it projected for 4.9 goals. I had the Kraken game the other night projected for 4.8 goals, and it landed on 5. So I'm going to go back to the well here, under 6.5, minus 110. I played it yesterday. I think you can still get that number.
All right. Occupancy, Golden Knights, Kraken. What do you think here?
Should be a great game. I'm really excited to hopefully get to watch this. I'm leaning towards Seattle on the side. I haven't bet it yet. The type of talent they brought in with Bjorkstrand and Burakovsky is going to be really underrated for a while. The books are setting Bjorkstrand's shot on goal prop at minus 115 for 2.5. He had 7 in his first night on the team. And he was just one of those players that kind of was like sort of just faded in Columbus because there was a lot of people kind of like that. But I think he's going to, be a top liner, and he's getting the minutes currently, averaging 18 plus minutes. I know it's a small sample size, but still. And then just going down the list here, Beniers, Wenberg, Dunn, Larson. Larson had a goal. That's big to get him involved. They got Alexiak on the D line. The guy's huge. I think he's 6'7". He's like learning how to skate at 30. No, I'm kidding, but he's good. They still got Jaden Schwartz, Jared McCann, Yanni Gord, Carson Soucy, Brandon Tanev, Jordan Eberle. They're stacked. I can go down the whole list. And yeah, as we saw, like fading Jones, I mean, maybe he found his identity in Seattle. Who knows? And then Grubauer, he's had a lot of experience playing with Colorado. So I like the Seattle team a lot. And I'm going to be looking to back them in certain spots. And I agree with Terry. I think Climate Pledge Arena is bumping tonight.
Yeah, and something I just noticed too is that before we get to baseball, the Mariners play at 4:07, so you could very likely get some drunk Mariners fans making their way over to the Climate Pledge, and this could be really rocking tonight, possibly. But Ryan, Golden Knights, Kraken, what do you think happens in this one?
So it sounds like there's a lot of agreement. My rationale may be slightly different, but I'm back in the Kraken here, and mostly because I think Vegas is playing really poorly right now. That 1-0 game, I was on them in that game, and they just looked like horrible form. Like they were having trouble doing the high percentage passes. Like it was just really, I just can't back this team. And they look like men against boys against Chicago. They're bigger, faster, stronger, but they just couldn't get their engine going. And it was really frustrating to watch. And another thing is I saw an interview with Bruce Cassidy. I think it was either between periods or after the game. And the interviewer asked about why, it was such a low scoring game against Chicago. And he said that like they're deliberately tried to, reduce their risk, basically mitigate risk and get in a low scoring game. So I think they, after that first game against the Kings, they turned down the dial, and I think we see that again tonight. So this is an under spot, and I think this is a Kraken spot, and I'm going to have a piece of both, I think.
And as someone who had the under 6 that first night before the movement to 6.5, the game was 1-1 at the end of the second period. So that third period really had a lot of goals in that opening night between Golden Knights and LA, and it could mislead some stats for the next few weeks.
Good point.
Yeah, you can get that with third periods or like crazy things happen in the third period.
I mean, I was on the under 6, so I checked the over 5.5. It was plus 550 in the intermission, and it hit. So,
and some other stats, player props. Again, Beniers, like you got to, it's like auto bet at this point. And also Bjorkstrand's a good look. Tanev's a good look as well. And then DJ, who's kind of part of this community, he brought up Justin Schultz shots because he's quarterbacking the power play for the Kraken, and I don't think the books have fully adjusted. So that's a good look for shots.
All right. And we'll move into the other segment of the show, which is the goalie poll, which is kind of where we look at the rest of the games on the slate. On big slates, we will be doing this instead of going over every game. We'll kind of have the goalie poll segment here. Ottawa-Toronto, I was looking at the over. It does look like Matt Murray will be in net. I may get to some props later on for this game. I'm looking towards Ottawa overs as much as I can this year. And Toronto, again, not a team that I'm very high on their goaltending, although now if you're looking at the total, it's 7 in most spots, and 6.5 is minus 140. So no, I definitely won't be getting involved there. It'll be a player prop game if I touch it. Yotes and Bruins, I'm definitely going to be hammering bets against the Yotes. When I see the opportunity, I'm going to be fading this Yotes team. But the Bruins, not the team I want to lay minus 120 on a puck line with. I get it, they're at home, and I think they win this game. But Bruins aren't a team. I don't know a team off by hand, but there's plenty of other teams that I would take this price with, but not really Boston at this point on a puck line. Montreal and Washington, maybe over 6.5. Allen won't be. I don't think he'll be in net again after last night. Completely ruined my over in Detroit and Montreal yesterday. Thanks a lot, Jake Allen. But I'm assuming he won't be in net today. So it would most likely be an over spot, but I haven't got to it yet. Red Wings and Devils, kind of the same deal. I'm looking towards the over. Haven't got involved yet. I may get heavier into the player props, obviously before the games. So follow me at Let's Go Wild Picks on BetStamp to get all of my bets there. But I'll most likely be looking at the over in this one. Columbus and St. Louis, I have no interest in that game whatsoever. Go Blue Jackets. I'm not a St. Louis Blues fan whatsoever, but I won't be getting involved in this one. And then Chicago, San Jose. If I had the 1-800-GAMBLER video that Nick, and Tim have on their channel, I'd play it right now. No, I'm just kidding. But I won't be getting involved here. I'm definitely not taking San Jose at minus 138. And I'm not backing the Blackhawks. I will back the Blackhawks if they're plus money against the Yotes potentially. But other than that, I won't be touching this Blackhawks team. So pass for me. Will, goalie poll segment. The rest of the games, which ones do you like and have thoughts on?
Yeah, I'll start where you finished. I sent out Blackhawks half unit plus 140 yesterday. This line to me is just, it's wrong. It should be pick 'em. These teams are very similar in their talent levels, their goaltending, their drive to win. I just don't really understand how you could make the Blackhawks plus 140 after what we saw the other night against Vegas. I understand Vegas drove play, but the Blackhawks got shots on goal. I believe they had over 25 shots on goal. They were getting pucks to the net. They were trying to score. I think tonight against a weaker defense, they'll get some goals. I also like the under in the game because both teams are very bad. Moving on, I also like the model likes Montreal money line. I don't know if I'll be on it because we got a backup goalie away back-to-back early in the year. So I'm probably going to pass. And the other one that I did like was the Toronto under 7, but I don't think you can find that really anymore. I think Toronto's defense after the first 2 games, and yes, 2 games is not a big enough sample size. It's better. They're not allowing shots on goal. I'm shocked. We'll see if it continues, but I think tonight they have a clear advantage as the better team, and on 7 is a lot of goals to hit.
All right. Occupancy, goalie poll, the rest of the games on the slate. What do you think?
Yeah. Also, Terry, in 20 minutes, puck's dropping in Buffalo, and I'm trying to become honorary Sabres fan. So I got to tune into the radio broadcast when that starts. I was looking at this game with Ottawa and Toronto, and the way I want to play it, I can't because the books have priced out the Ottawa player props, and I can't get some of these Kachuk and DeBrincat props that I wanted to last night. They're just too juice for me, so I'm not going to bet them. I lean towards Toronto, but I learned costly on Thursday night that laying big prices with Toronto is probably not going to be my ticket to success. So I will probably have to pass. I was going to do an auto pass on Arizona-Boston, but then I was looking at the player props, and they're hanging over 1.5 shots with Pavel Zacha. And I don't know if people know him or not, but he was kind of this good player on New Jersey for a while. I didn't even know he was on Boston actually until this morning when I looked. But I always look at the time on ice. And in that first game, he had 16 minutes, 25 seconds on ice. So that means that with injuries or whatever the coaches are doing there, if he's going to get minutes, he'll get shots. I usually like DeBrusque over 2.5 shots as well. So if I'm going to get involved with that game, that's the way I'll be going. Montreal, Washington, not going to lay a price with Washington, although I think they win this game. I'm just not really interested. Kemper save props could be a look. But Montreal, I don't think they didn't even really shoot that much the first night against Toronto and Murray. Because I think I had Murray parlayed in a save prop and it didn't hit. So I'll probably end up being off that game, to be honest. Detroit, New Jersey, I want to take a shot with Detroit on the money line. I think New Jersey can be good, but the only thing that worries me a little bit is the back-to-back. So not really sure exactly how I want to go with that one, but I'm just going to take a look at the price for a point prop for Lucas Raymond. Minus 115 for a point for Lucas Raymond could end up making my card consistently. Shots on goal, Dougie Hamilton, also something I would go to in the past, but it's a little too juice for me. So I have Dawson Mercer there. Those are the usual people I look at. Yegor Sharangovich was always 2.5 that I would hit last year, but still early. And again, with a lot of games on the slate and seeing what happens in Buffalo, not really putting too many bets out right now. Next game, I think St. Louis wins by margin. That was actually going to end up being a minus 1.5 on the whole card. That's like the one I like the most, honestly. I think they wreck the Blue Jackets. St. Louis, just a powerhouse. Chicago, San Jose, not involved currently, and not sure if I will be.
All right. We are kind of having some breaking news here from Elliot Friedman. There was discussions earlier about Toronto's goaltending. Matt Murray, shockingly, is being examined this afternoon with a sore groin. The issue is that Eric Hallgren was injured last night in the Marlies game, but apparently he has been cleared to return to join Samsonov as a backup. So Toronto could have big issues coming as they aren't able to call people up. And you never know. We could see a Zamboni driver once again being put in net for the Leafs. Could we have history repeating itself here?
It worked last
Who
time.
did they face? Sorry?
I think it worked last time. I don't remember exactly. He played well.
Yeah, I can't remember who they faced or whatever. I think it was Carolina. But yeah, so there could be stuff happening there. We'll have to see. Ryan, the rest of the slate. What do you think here?
Well, I'm not involved in any of these, but I see 3 home favorites that are basically unbackable. I think they're favorites. So, like, Washington looks awful. You know, they've had some good periods, but they've got a lot of different personnel, and they just don't look organized. So, I don't see how you can back Washington, and ergo, you could probably back Montreal, and I think you can get like plus 1.5 goals with Montreal if you wanted to. You know, it's a tough travel spot. Same with Detroit. Detroit's got a tough travel spot, but I don't see why you couldn't back Detroit in this spot. They could. We haven't seen anything worthwhile from New Jersey yet this season, and against Chicago, against San Jose. I was involved with Carolina. Got lucky with a regulation win last night, but it's hard to back San Jose. They didn't generate much at all. They could have won that. They could have won that game. There could have been some bounces differently. They could have beaten Carolina, but I don't see how you back San Jose.
All right. Going on next, BetStamp. Use code WILD in the referral code section. Make sure to do your line shopping. It really matters in making the most money. Follow me at Let's Go Wild Picks there to get all my picks as soon as I bet them. We'll move on along and go over baseball playoffs as a whole before we get to the best bet segment. For me, I have one play, and I'm taking the Cleveland Guardians at plus money here at home against the Yankees with McKenzie on the mound. I like the Guardians here. I do have a plus 3,500 on them to win the World Series, so I am cheering for them. But I like them in this spot to win at home against the Yankees. I was leaning towards Houston, but it's been a long time since Seattle has had a home playoff game. And I just them being down 2-0 with their backs up against the wall, I could see Seattle winning this. So even though it's a very attractive minus 110 price with Houston, I'm passing. And then Dodgers, Padres. Dodgers struggle in the playoffs for some reason historically, and hey, it's very possible that they lose this series against the Padres. So I'm just staying off. I'm not getting involved in that one. So for me in MLB playoffs today, it's the Guardians, currently plus 102. Will, anything in MLB playoffs today?
No, not really. Haven't really capped the playoffs.
No problem. Occupancy, anything in MLB playoffs you like today?
Yeah, I'll work down the card quickly. Looked at Morton and Syndergaard this first game. I thought it looked pretty even with advanced stats, and I didn't see a huge edge. But I will bet the Phillies in the first 5 out of respect to the Braves and with acknowledging the Phillies bullpen ERA. I could see this series going 5. I could see all the series going 5, to be honest. I could see a lot of, back and forths. But I do like the Phillies in the first 5. And then I need to look at some props. This next matchup, I actually see going 5 as well. That first game with Seattle and Houston, really, I thought obviously could have really went Seattle's way, and then we'd be 1-1. But I think the Mariners could win 2 at home here, and then bring it back to Houston. And I like George Kirby. I mean, he's gotten lit up towards the end of the season, but he consistently pitches well. And I think he can hang on at least for the first 5. So I'd be interested in Seattle Mariners first 5. When I looked at McCullers' game log, the team wins. I think it was like 4 out of 5 wins. Not necessarily his decision, but just the team. So the Astros do win with him. So that's why I probably won't bet it for the full game. But I think Mariners could take the first 5. I was looking at Severino McKenzie. Severino was out for a lot this summer, but he's come back and he's looked okay. I usually would always back the Guardians with McKenzie. But now that, again, I could see this series going 5. So I actually may end up passing on that one, to be completely honest. It's close. I don't know really what to make of that because I'm a Yankees fan, but I like the Guardians. So that's a weird one for me. Last night we were looking, and I don't know if it was a joke or like they were just hanging it for fun, but DraftKings had the Dodgers money line at plus 155. Yeah, Nick showed us, and we were like, okay, like, and I woke up this morning and thought that was going to be there. So I don't know if they were just like messing around with people and like hung it for like 30 seconds or something because DraftKings is what they are. But now I'm seeing minus 125, minus 120 for that, plus 100 for the Padres. I could see this going 5 as well. I do like Tyler Anderson, and depending how today goes, I probably would be back in the Dodgers tonight.
Will, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention I don't recommend hitting these, but books make a ton of mistakes. I saw yesterday DraftKings actually posted St. Louis Columbus game total over 1.5 plus 270.
They must void those. Like they must void it though.
It's definitely it's an account health risk. I wouldn't put money on it. I wouldn't bet it. Just fun to notice them. I don't even know how that mistake gets made because I don't see how over 1.5 plus 230 or plus 270 is really a bet for anything besides a team total period. Maybe I just don't know where the mistake even happens.
Yeah, I don't either. That's kind of weird. Ryan, MLB playoffs. What do you think here?
Well, there's a common theme, and that is there's not much of a track record with these pitchers. And if we look at Syndergaard against, let's see here, let me get my notes up. If you look at Syndergaard versus Charlie Morton, Syndergaard has not faced the Braves. Now, he got traded, so there's a reason for that. However, the Phillies have faced Charlie Morton, and they've hit him pretty hard. And guys like Hoskins, Bohm, Harper, and Schwarber has 2 home runs against Morton this year. So I saw a lot of really good hitting. 5.47 ERA for Morton against the Phillies, 301 batting average. So I'm riding that, and I like the Phillies team total over 4.5, which is plus 110, and I also like the Phillies to win outright in this game. In the Astros against the Mariners, this is a tough one. I'd also like George Kirby. He's made me a lot of money this season. I lean over in this game. Seattle's only been involved in 3 unders in their last 10 games, and obviously that stretches back into the regular season. Basically, neither one of these pitchers have much of a track record against the other. Lance McCullers, he came off the IL this year, but he's got more than 4 walks per inning pitched. So I think that's a little bit troublesome, and I think there's a good tendency to the over on this game. Yankees Guardians, I think this is going to be a good old-fashioned pitching duel. Severino had 7 innings of no-hit pitching against the Rangers in the last regular season game, and McKenzie's been in incredible form. Again, we have this no track record. Severino has no appearances against Cleveland this year. McKenzie had a 2-0 win against the Yankees in July, which was a 1-hitter. So I just think that this is just going to be a good old-fashioned pitching duel. I think I'm going to split my bet 3 ways on the under 6.5, on Severino over 5.5 strikeouts, which is plus 133, and McKenzie over 6.5 strikeouts at minus 103. I don't have much of a feel on the Dodgers Padres. I made the mistake of fading Musgrove, earlier in the playoffs, which was a big mistake. He's white hot, 1 ERA in his last 5 starts. I just don't see how you can bet against him. I lean under 7.5. The Dodgers have only been involved in 1 over in their last 7 games. So it's a look to the under again for this one.
All right. We will move on along to the best bet segment and then get the show finished here. We'll start with over under as we usually do. And for me, Florida Buffalo under 7, currently a minus 118. Nick is going to college football, UNM and New Mexico State over 38.5. Tim is going with Tennessee, team total over 28.5. I'm hoping both those games haven't started already, but if they have, I apologize. Anaheim, New York Islanders over 5.5 for you, Ryan. Occupancy, you're going Islanders team total over 3.5, plus 110. IceX is going LA, Minnesota over 6. Will, what do you think here for total?
Yeah, I really like the under 6.5 in Vegas, Seattle tonight. Those 2 teams will be in a lot of unders for me this year.
All right. We'll go on along to dog of the day. I was going to choose Buffalo, but a lot of people choosing Buffalo. I was going to choose Seattle, but I just decided to choose my other dog, something different. For me, Anaheim Ducks plus 150. Nick is going with Tennessee Volunteers plus 290. Tim, Occupancy, IceX. You're all going Buffalo Sabres plus 170. Ryan, you're going with the Seattle Kraken plus 114. Will, what do you think here? Is there a dog that you like today?
Yeah, we're going to go back to the Chicago Blackhawks. Definitely follow me at NHL Tip 6. I gave out plus 140 yesterday. I don't know if I would take plus 120, but it's definitely my dog of the day.
All right. And then going on along to best bets for the day. I'm going to do it this time. Wild in regulation plus 100. I think they make a statement against the Kings today. Nick is going with Edmonton Oilers money line minus 110. Ryan, you're going against him. Calgary Flames money line minus 105. Tim is going with Pittsburgh minus 1.5 plus 168. Occupancy, you're going with Darlene over 2.5 shots plus 116. IceX is taking Pavel Zacha anytime goal plus 235. Will, what do you think here for best bet for today?
Again, it would be the Canucks, but I'm not going to play minus 160. I did just find FanDuel has. I want to double check really quickly. I apologize.
No worries.
Austin Matthews to score a goal tonight at minus 118. I think that number is just incorrect. I think you're going to be seeing minus 140 to minus 160 throughout the year mostly. I played this the other night at minus 116 on Caesars, and it hit game 2. I did not play it game 1 because we were seeing minus 150 to minus 160. Anytime this number's around minus 110 to minus 120, I'm going to hit it if the over is between 6.5 and 7 in the game that's being played.
All right. What's up, Kev? Thanks for coming on in. But that is today's show. Follow everyone in the description below. Everyone's Twitter links are in the description below. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the content, smash the like button. We appreciate all the support. 5 hours at 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll be doing the other show going over NFL for tomorrow. And then we'll be back Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, regular time. Thanks for watching. Good luck today. Let's all make some money and have a good one, guys.
Go Sabres.